Dear esteemed guests, distinguished members, and lovers of literature, a very warm welcome, a warm embrace of words to all the gathered for this exquisite literary soiree. Today is not just an ordinary day, it's the Right Circle Day, organized by Prabha Khaitan Foundation, filled with magic of storytelling and the allure of the cinematic world. We are thrilled to have you join us for this evening, brimming with intellectual delights as we embark on our journey into the world of filmmaking with none other than the maestro himself, Mr. Rahul Rawail. Mr. Rawail, a luminary in the world of cinema and torchbearer of the Kapoor legacy, promises to unravel the layers of the legendary Raj Kapoor's genius like never before with his tales personal and celluloid. Today's event is in association with our venue and hospitality partner, the O Hotel, Pune, and the support of SAS Women of Pune, being Mrs. Amita Mulod, Sujata Sabnis, and myself. The media partner for the event is Lokmat, and this event, like all the others, is held under the gracious patronage of Shri Cement Limited. As we tread the real conversation and explore the pages of his literary and life masterpiece, allow me to talk a few words about the foundation behind this event. Prabha Khaitan Foundation has been a revolutionary promoter of literature, art, and culture. We believe in the power of ideas, creativity, and dialogue to spark positive changes in the society. Over the years, Prabha Khaitan Foundation has had the privilege of hosting eminent artists, authors, and thought leaders who have shared their insights and enriched our culture tapestry through organizing authors' meets, book launches, literature fairs, panel discussions, boutique festivals, and events of performing art. Some of them being the Right Circle, Kalam, Kitab, Ek Mulaqat, Tet a Tea, Sur aur Saas, Aakar, Lafz, Chaupal, Bustan, amongst the others. Prabha Khaitan Foundation is a non-profitable trust committed to the humanitarian and social cultural causes. Late Dr. Prabha Khaitan, an eminent Indian literator, philanthropist, social worker, entrepreneur, and feminist, established it as a charitable trust in the early 1980s, based in Calcutta. It is committed to supporting women's empowerment, gender equality, literature, culture, and performing arts. As for PFK Music, introducing the music of the month for February, Longing, a song about pure, unadulterated love in a land that is untouched by time, from Ricky Cage's album of 2015, the Grammy-winning album, Winds of Samsara. The song is composed in a traditional Indian thumri form with a very modern soundscape. Now, I'm honored to extend my sincere privilege in introducing the author for the evening. Rahul Rawail is a film director. Thank you for joining us. Rahul Rawail is a film director and editor. His career has seen him bringing numerous memorable characters and compelling narratives to the silver screen like Love Story, Pita, Arjun, Decade, Anjam, and Arjun Pandit. He's the son of the renowned film director H.S. Rawail. His movies have been the launch of vehicle for many Bollywood actors such as Kumar Gaurav and Vijayta Pandit, Sunny Deol, Amrita Singh, Kajol and Aishwarya Rai. Rawail has worked with the immortal master of Indian cinema, Raj Kapoor ji, as an assistant director under the banner of RK Films. Under his tutelage, he learned the kernels of making and went on to make a mark of his own. His association with Raj Saab and the fond anecdotes and memories are captured in his book, Raj Kapoor, the Master at Work. In conversation today, we have Mrs. Nilima Deshpande, a performing artist for 30 years in theatre, radio, television and films. A big TV and film buff. She loves music, singing, reading almost anything and everything, associated with social organizations like Spectrum, the Tata Mobile Crashes. She has been a part of the organizing committee of Pune International Film Festival and Youth Commonwealth Games in Pune. Now, without taking much time, I hand it over to Nilima ji, and the next 45 minutes are all yours, Nilima ji.
आपका बहुत हार्दिक स्वागत है राइट सर्कल के पुणे चैप्टर में। सबसे पहले सवाल यही आता है कि आपने ये किताब लिखने की क्यों सोची, क्योंकि राज कपूर साहब के ऊपर बहुत सारी किताबें लिखी गई हैं। 1996 में बनी रूबेल ने लिखी थी और द फैबुलस शोमैन। उसके बाद मधु जैन ने 2009 में कपूर्स द फर्स्ट फैमिली ऑफ सिनेमा इन इंडिया, एंड रितु नंदा हिज डॉटर हैड आल्सो रिटन Raj Kapoor Speaks. So I want to know in what way is your book different to all these books?
Ma'am, the difference between my book was the other books, I've read them all, and they have all spoken about Raj Kapoor as the showman, and that he was. But nobody spoke about him at work and how he made his films, or what inspired him, and what are the factors led to that. So I was at on the Junior Film Festival, where this writer called Apurva, I forget the second name, he wrote these films of Hansanayata.
Yes.
And I always involve my conversations with Raj Kapoor, he's coming up somehow or the other. And then he told me, he said, why don't you write a book on Raj Kapoor? So these are things we've never heard of. So when I decided to write it, I first went and met Mrs. Raj Kapoor. I said, I'm planning this kind of book. And so I thought I'd talk to you before I do. And she said, you must do it, Rahul, because you are the only living person who has worked with my husband and who knows exactly how my husband did his shooting and how he shot his films and what he thought about films. And nobody's tried it now. And if you don't do it, nobody will. And the world will never know what Raj Kapoor really was. So this was something which really got to me, and then I spoke to my childhood friend Chintu, the Rishi Kapoor, and they were all very excited about it. So I got down to doing this thing. And
Which year was this?
23 years back.
So it's a very recent book.
It's 3 years recent.
3 years means, I mean, it must have taken time during the COVID. It wasn't.
No, in fact, I finished most of it during the COVID.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, because during COVID.
You wrote during that time.
And I had this girl with me called Pranika Sharma, a young girl, young kid, and very, very bright. So we were on Zoom all the time. Because of COVID, we had nothing to do. So because the way it went was that I could not, I would hate to sit and write. So I would narrate to her.
Okay.
And she would put it on paper and then she'd make some changes, videos. So that's how we collaborated and made this whole.
So has she done justice to whatever you narrated?
Yes, yes,
Are you
absolutely.
happy or?
Absolutely.
Yes.
She had some very valuable suggestions.
Were there her inputs also?
Yes, very, very valuable.
Okay.
Very limited because we young kids, I don't think, know very much about the old stalwarts, but she did some reading up and all. She's a bright kid.
Okay. So that's nice. Another question, thought entered my mind was, after so many years of not being in the limelight, was this your idea of getting a reflected glory by writing the book?
Oh, no, not at all.
Because you made your film 2007.
Yeah, I
last
did.
film.
Actually, I did not make a film after that because the whole scenario, the way films were being made, did not suit me. You know, everything came into the hands of an actor. Actor would decide who's the hero, who's the writer, who's the editor. I mean, why? He should just do his own job. But people are all, so I said, I can't work like this again. And then when I started writing the book, and that I decided I'd do in any case, because when I started writing the book, I realized that I think I should try and make a film again. So I am now toying with an idea of doing a web series very soon. And
That'd be good.
yeah.
Yes. Back in action.
I hope so.
Because the work culture has changed so much over the years, so like old timers feel that you don't fit in sometimes.
No, we don't, because these guys today, I'm sorry to say it, when I say these people, I don't mean the entire industry, but most of them. People have stopped shooting films.
Yeah.
They are shooting numbers. They're only concerned with first, second, third, fourth, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Whereas Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, these guys are only interested in numbers.
That's true.
And I think nobody is applying their minds at all to the work which is happening. And getting carried away with technology. Technology is great to have.
Of course.
But then you don't use your VFX for every single thing. See, man, films are, I agree, money is an important part of it. But more than that, it is your heart which tells you what you should do. So that is missing. And the guys who have the heart in the right place is there. You see the films.
And you said you started as an assistant director with Raj Kapoorji, but how did you come into films? Think of becoming a director later. Before that, I want to mention your father, H.S. Rawail Saab. I remember as a child used to see so many of his films, and another thing was very special about his movies was the Muslim background films like Mere Mehboob, Mehboob Ki Mehndi, Laila Majnu, and Mehboob, Mere Mehboob, all those movies, they had a Muslim background. Was there some reason for it, or just?
I don't know, maybe because he was brought up in that period, so he had his own knowledge about that. That's what I guess.
Okay. So did you direct any of his films?
No. No.
So you started with
I started
your
with,
independent films
yes.
with Pesa.
Straight after working with Ransa, I worked about.
So when you started assisting Raj Kapoorji, what was the greatest learning you took from him? And besides all those, the genius factors that he had.
See, the few things which stay embedded in my mind about him. First thing is he would always say, he'd say, I never hear a story. I see a story. So that is a huge difference in what he says. So today when I see even my kids and all these youngsters wanting tight scripts, I don't know why they want it. Because you can't visualize into his life. So this was one thing. The second thing was that you got to give your 100% to make a film. Because he has such when he makes a film, he would be only living that film. He'd only be talking about that film. He'd be reading comics pertaining to that film. He would, so everything was concentrated purely on
the visuals were important.
The visuals were very important to him. And he was also very instinctive. And he is the only filmmaker, I think, in our times today in India, who had a 360-degree knowledge of the entire process of filmmaking, which was a great advantage because I was working with a man who knew everything.
Every department.
You spoke about anything and he knew what he spoke about.
So, just for our knowledge, can you tell us what is the framework of an assistant director? What is he supposed to do?
Today or in our times?
In your time, and we'll talk about today also.
Okay. In my times, the assistant director was a slave, like the ones you see in all the films about the pharaohs and all that. There's a man who sits with a whip and whips you, that's the director. So you're a slave there. But not because you're a slave. You had to work, you had to really work hard. But the advantage which you have is that, especially when working with a man like Raj,
yes,
the advantage I had was that if there were any questions, I used to ask him. And he had initially told me when I started working, he said, I see that you must be having questions in your mind and always ask me. And because if you stop yourself from asking me, someday in life you'll regret why I never asked this question. So, just, I think the wrong thing he told me was I would have dozens of questions for him and he would be very patient.
But you were in awe of him, you couldn't directly talk to him?
No, I could. See, I knew since I was a child because of Dad. Everything. But
you were great friends with Chintu.
Chintu and we grew up together. And but when I joined him as an assistant, then yes, that this is the boss. That was there, and one had to pay respect according to that.
So I was just asking assistant directors of your time and ADs, now they are called ADs, and most of them, these star kids, are now assisting all the famous producer directors. So what is the difference between their working and your time?
I think who are called ADs, they just have a designation because I see them all are driving in the best cars.
Mercedes.
All of them, and
they
have a kursi table to sit on, and when they're told, ye kaam karo, they will call somebody else to do it. They'll not do it. In our days, it was different. If on the set, the boss said, "Arey Chintu ke joote saaf karo koi," we would not wait for the spot boy. One of us would go up there and start cleaning the shoes because that is your job. You speed up everything for him. I used to carry a gamcha on my shoulder all the time because you never know when you need a kapda to clean something.
क्या साफ करना पड़े पता नहीं.
आज के दिन में बोलो तो दिन भी ADs were not and they're all, I think, the problem is that when they join as an AD, they believe that they know more than anybody else. They don't realize one thing, that learning is one thing which never finishes. According to me, I'm learning even today. That's why I'm seeing films of different kinds. It teaches me things. But they know more than what I do. And
I think every person is always learning through their life.
of course, yeah.
And when it's something about art and craft, it's an endless journey
Absolutely.
of learning,
Yes.
isn't it? So, I heard you were going to become a nuclear physicist. And then what happened?
See, when I passed out of school, it was the last batch of the senior Cambridge before it shifted to ISC.
Same year. I was also in the same class.
Oh,
In Lucknow.
in Lucknow, okay. So,
I was the last batch.
last batch. So, the exam finished in December. So, from December to June, July, we would not have any work to do. But I'd made up my mind to become a nuclear physicist and take an admission in a college in Toronto, where my year would start in July or August. I had nothing to do at all, and Chitu just called me the day I finished my exams. He called me and said, listen, Papa is starting shooting the Russian circus episodes. He's starting that chapter.
So this was Mera Naam Joker.
Mera Naam Joker. And I went there with Chitu, and when I entered the set, I saw Ratsa there. I saw him, he was shooting there, and I couldn't take my eyes off that man, because I said, to me, he was like a conductor of an orchestra. One man who is controlling everything. He's controlling the actors, the unit, the junior artists, the Indians, everybody. 5,000 people. And one man alone is conducting, and he's multitasking at the same time. He's looking at the actors, he's looking at the lighting, and that fascinated me. And he was so quick, with what he wanted. And then I repeatedly started going on the set regularly. Then one day I told Mama, I said, I've got 6-7 months before I go to Canada. So instead of just sitting down doing nothing, can I work with Ratsa? And he said, yeah. Dad went to speak to him. And he called me and he said, Dad was there. He said, I've been seeing him coming every day. And he never speaks to me, stands in one corner. And he's most welcome to join. And I believe you want to go to Canada. I said, yeah. He said, you're most welcome to work here, but remember one thing. People who start working here very rarely go away. So it's just, it's just a warning. So I was sure that, whatever happens, I will do my
That's so true, because all his, the whole group of people he was working with stayed with him lifelong.
Yes, right.
Like the photographer, the cinematographer, Adu Karmakarji, the music directors, the writers, everyone. So your father must have been happy that you were joining films.
Yeah, he was happy because he wanted me to think. And then as some time went, about 3 months, so I said, I'd like to start working with him, more on a regular basis. And he said, yeah. And for me, what changed was that instead of me addressing him as a Raj uncle, I addressed him as Raj sir. The first day when I went to meet him, tell him about the show and over. And that's where it started.
So I heard your mother was also in a way doing films because she was doing the costumes.
Yeah, Mommy was doing the costumes, and she was a writer also.
Okay.
Yeah, and the books published. And, she did a couple of screenplays.
Ji.
She
And I also read an incident that when you were making Mere Mehboob, Ravi Saab wanted a different look for Sadhna. So he kind of cut off her hair and made the Sadhna fringe more prominent. And those tight chudidars and kurtas, it became a craze at that time.
Right.
So the whole family has been contributing to the film industry, so in a way. So accolades to you for that.
Thank you.
So how many films exactly did you assist him on?
I assisted him on half of Binanam Joker, because that was of the third chapter onwards. Then I assisted him, I assisted Damu Saab, that's Ranveer Kapoor, in his first film, Kala. That's called Star Kevin. Then I did Bobby. Bobby was a film which actually taught me a lot, because I happened to be the only assistant left at that time.
Yes.
Everyone had left him after Joker. And he was in a very, financially in a very bad stage. But he never let that come across. He made the film exactly the way he wanted to. Then I worked with Damu Saab again in Dharam Dharam. Then I worked with Raj Saab for a little while on what is the film called? Become old. The one with Zeenat. For a little while. Then I started my own film. But until 1984, even when I was shooting, and even after Betab had released, and I was still shooting the other films, whenever I had a gap, I would go and work with him on his set. You know, and I would work with him exactly the same way as I had done all the years. I would travel with the train, by car. I didn't want any kind of special treatment. I lived with the whole unit. So that was the experience which actually taught me a lot.
So let's talk about Bobby. The fresh new Jodi, of course, was the craze. And also the music became very popular. So in one of the chapters you written about how the songs were made. Jai Kishan Saab was putting dummy words.
That was the first time I went for a music sitting was in 1969, just after I joined them, and went to the music room where there was Raj Kapoor, Shankar ji, Jagdishan ji, Majroor Sapna, Shailendra ji, Asar Jagdishan, Mukesh ji. So for me it was a very wow moment seeing all these people, and they were discussing a song, and they went through the situation of the song, and then Shankar ji said, I have an idea for a tune. And every time a music director sings a tune to you, he always uses dummy words. Because it's easier for you to understand that. Like in my films, what dummy words used by Pancham. They were not meant for the. So you normally have dummy words. So when Shankarji started singing his dummy words, I don't know. I didn't know if I could jump out of the window or find something, because I had never heard such abusive language in my life. And there is one man with a harmonium with the choicest abusive. I'm embarrassed to even say this. And I'm watching these other people who have not reacted to that. They're all busy just thinking about it, and then Raj Saab says कि शंकर ये वो माँ की जगह बहन की नहीं हो सकती, but
मीटर में लाने के लिए
this is the way he used to do it, just to get the tune in place. which was very shocking for me. And,
That was normal for them?
for them it was even they did not even flinch. In fact, once there was a lady lyric writer. She had also come into one sitting, and when Rathab and Shankarji were telling us the kind of tune they had in mind, they were using their galis because they were galis.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was normal for them. See, music was essentially one thing with Raj Kapoor was that he had chord skill. He used to play every single instrument you will think of. Every instrument without learning music. Yeah. Just in nine synthesizers, I think, you know, the electronic thing. And on the set, a new synthesizer, the first time I'd come to India, and he came up and he said, what is this? And they said, it's a synthesizer. And you can press a button and change the tones and we do this. And in a minute, he was playing it. So it was,
Such a natural voice.
but all natural, it was.
And he sang so well.
He sang well, and see his daughter, Ritu, the eldest daughter, she was very good on the piano.
Okay.
So father and daughter, on Sundays or their spare time, they used to spend in the house on a piano, where she would play the piano and he would try and sing different songs and get everything made.
Right.
And when I joined him in '68, he told me one day, he said, there are two songs which I'm not using now, but I will use them at some time or the other. And the songs are ready. So, and he sang Jhoot Bole Kawa Kate, now in '68. And he sang Sun Salva Sun, both these songs. So I said, sir, where are these songs? He said, I'll find a place somewhere. And finally in Bobby, he found that situation where he did Jhoot Bole Kawa Kate. And then in 80, he did Ram Teri Ganga Mehndi, where he used Sun Salva Sun. It was
Excuse me, can I interrupt? What was गाली वाला गाना कौन सा बना था आपने?
it was a song, Joker, which we shot but was not put in the film by me. It was there. And, thank God they didn't give it. It was giving me nightmares every time. So he used these songs and his sense of music was very, very sharp. In fact, he went to Delhi for a wedding. तो मैं भी गया था वहाँ पर और शादी पे गए थे and there Ravindra Jain was the wedding singer की शादी में गाने के लिए Ravindra Singh आए तो Ravindra Jain sang a song and that was एक राधा एक मीरा and Radha got up and he had some money in his pocket. He gave the money to him and said, this song is mine for my next film and you are going to do the music. And then he took some more money from Dabusa and gave it to Ravindra Jain and said, this money is for the story which I am making next. Now none of us knew what he's making. And he came up and he told us that, we said, what story are you making? He said, I'm making from this song, Ek Radha Ek Meera. I've got a story.
He wrote a story around the
song. And
that was genius.
Which
Ram Teri Ganga Mehndi.
That song is at the end.
And he said, you know, in Ramchitra Manan, there is a chapter when Ramji came to the Ganga to where the Sangam is, and he was in a boat, and he told the boatman, he said, you know, he said making from this song, Ek Radha Ek Meera. I've got a story.
He wrote a story around the
Around the
song.
song. And
That was genius.
Which
Ram Teri Ganga Mehndi.
That song is at the end.
And he said, you know, in Ramchitra Manan, there is a chapter when Ramji came to the Ganga to where the Sangam is, and he was in a boat, and he told the boatman, he said, why is the Ganga, which is so pure, it's come from Calcutta and finishes here, but it's dirty, it's not clean. And that boatman said, कि राम तेरी गंगा में भी हो गई, पापियों के पाप धोते धोते. So he said, this is the story, and the characters are from this place. And so we said, you make a film now with not a love story. He said, of course it's a love story, but where is the love story? He said that will come. And then that's when we evolved and the music came out.
Wow. And similar thing happened with Prem Rog also. Prem Rog.
Yeah.
उसमें भी लव स्टोरी है पर हीरो का पता ही नहीं था. About a widow.
Yeah. He said, I finalized the story. I heard this lady.
Padmini.
No. I heard this lady narrate the story to me. She had written a play for the Ordinary Radio, which he had heard, and then he called her, and she said that she narrated that story to him, and he said, I bought the rights, and he said, I'm making this film, and he said, make a love story, and I promised I'll make a very strong love story. So when he narrated the story, there was only a woman and her father-in-law, because it was she, the child bride, and the conflict with the father-in-law, which is, and he said no. He said there's no hero. He said no, there is a hero. So he said, when will he be there in the story? He said, when I make a film, he will be there. Don't worry. And he was there. It was a great love story. So his mind worked.
It's amazing how the mind worked for him, because just to start from some kind of incident or a song to make the whole 3-hour movie, indeed a master at his work. Absolutely. How were your films kind of influenced by that work?
My first film which I made was a film that very few people saw. It was called Gunegar. It had Rishi Kapoor in it, but the film did not didn't get released also. Then I made PVOPV, which was produced by Hansel, and I directed.
You directed.
Yeah. Then I made Love Story.
Love Story.
And it's from Love Story where the influence really came out. Like Krishna Auntie told me, his wife, she said, I saw that thing about my husband's in your songs of this BBOB. I told him kind of this happens with him. And so with Love Story started. And I always had this one person there who was available to be consulted. That was Raj. If I had any problem, I used to go up to him. I used to discuss it with him. He would, run through with me what was right, what was wrong. And I think a lot of things were nurtured by him. And also, it carried on with Beta. So that's again a love story. And his influence has been tremendous in my work. And
I'm sure.
And there's lots of...
because all your movies had wonderful music. All had hit songs. And considering that actors are all newcomers, you introduced so many star kids at that time. How was it working with them?
I had a great time working with newcomers. In fact, today also I would love to work with a newcomer. But the thing is that the newcomer has got to, the director is not a magician. You can't wave a wand and tell the person perform. The effort has to come from the self. Today times have changed. Actors come to meet you for work. One of the actors the guys who come, they all have these photographs without their shirts on, just seeing different parts of their anatomy, and they come and tell you, I'm very good at fights, and I drive cars very well, and
Action heroes.
I'm very good at horse riding. So like Ranveer Kapoor said, he told one of the boys in front of me, he said, listen, I'm looking for an actor, not for a jockey. And he's right, because, and the girls who come to you, it's obnoxious. They come with photographs which are embarrassing, the kind of photographs they come with. And they're all stupid photographs, also, something with standing on a ladder, what? If I'm going to see a photograph, I'm going to see your face, that's all. And they also are, I'm very good at this, very good at that. Nobody's ever told me I'm a good actor. There's nobody who's come and said I'm a good actor. So, I don't think they believe in that anymore.
So how come you introduced Sunny and all these stars? They didn't ask you to direct a film for their children.
Or,
Sunny Deol's son.
Look, I think we spoke about that, Sunny and me, and even I felt that it's better to get a younger director. But I did not know the Sunny himself would direct it. Because, anyway.
They did even approach, they did tell you they were intending
he
to
spoke
introduce.
to me, he narrated some story ideas to me. And then one day I was told that he's directing himself.
I heard you had opened an acting school also.
Yes.
So Karan had
Karan had
come there
yeah,
for
and,
training.
He had come there, and I think Sunny should not have directed that. But anyway, he felt that I would do the best for his son. So
Each to their own. So how is your acting school going?
no, I had to close it down.
Oh,
Because, yeah, I'll tell you why. See, I had got into a partnership
Stella
with the
Maris.
Stella Adler School.
Yeah.
So Stella Adler is one of the biggest schools
Acting
of
school.
acting in the world. And the whole cost structure was very high because I had huge royalties to pay. And so the fees had to be up a little bit. I said we can't go too far up because there are so many other acting schools. So let's stay on par, or maybe just about 5% more than the other schools. Now the moment we opened the school, the other schools, they started cutting their price down. So, that became an unaffordable situation for me. So I had to close it.
But does it help these kids to really pick up the...
No, you can't. You can't turn into an actor. It only helps them gain confidence, and to gain confidence, they actually understand a few things about what the camera expects you to do. But they've got to put in all the effort themselves.
Of course. So let's talk about Bobby. It was almost an iconic film, and apart from all these actors, there was Premnath. So let's talk about him. What was your experience?
Oh, my experience with Premnath, it was.
How did you kind of tolerate?
No, there's no question of tolerating him. He was.
In the sense, how did you kind of go along with that? Whims and fancies.
No, I was an assistant director, so and.
But you bore the brunt of it.
I bore the absolute brunt of it and went through some of the most hilarious incidents. But he was very fine.
Tell us about the dubbing.
I'll tell you exactly what happened. It started with. I went to read this story to him with Jailendra Jain, who was a journalist. Now, Jain Saab was a journalist who had never gone on to a film set and never written a story. So he was writing and I was told by Raj Saab that go and narrate the story to Prem. And Prem Saab had a cottage in Warsaw where he used to live on the seaside. So I went there with Jain, and I had heard about Premnathji's his mental state at that time. And when I entered, Premnathji said, okay, come, sit. So he said, who's narrating the story? So I said, Mr. Jain is narrating the story. So he said, okay. He said, Raj told me this is a fisherman character. So he said, yes, it's a fisherman who's very rich and, this thing, he drinks a lot of rum. So he said, hold it. He called his boy. His boy's name was James Bond. And he was called James Bond. And he told Bond, go and get me 2 bottles of rum. So now I knew what was coming. So General Jain was totally confused. He couldn't understand what was saying. And when General Jain came, Premnath said, let's move from here. And we went into his bathroom, right, one of the big bathrooms, and he stripped off all his clothes. And absolutely naked, he sat under a tap, put on the tap of water, and took a bottle of rum and in his hand, and he said, okay, now I'm going to hear the story. Jain Saab said, what is wrong with this man? I said, see, he wants to get into character. और आप मुझे सवाल मत पूछिए, आप नरेट कर दीजिए। तो एक कहानी नरेट होती थी, जिसमें एक्टर नंगा बैठा हुआ था, राइटर जो है वो बाथरूम के चौखट पे बैठा हुआ था, and I was privileged, I was sitting on a chair. So, anyway, he narrated the whole story, and then I called up Raj Saab, I said, finished narrating. So he said, कुछ पागलपन किया कि नहीं प्रेम ने? So I said, कि अगर Jain Saab के साथ, no, Jain was terrified. We drove back to the studio together, and he told Raj Saab, he said, see, I cannot say no to the film, but please don't ever put me in front of Prem Nath. I can't take this. And फिर Raj Saab कभी अपना ये था कि जब शूटिंग कर रहे हैं तो I had a habit of sitting on the ground next to wherever Raj Saab was, because anything he wants to say. So we do a shot. I remember we did a shot and Prem Nath jumped up himself and said, fantastic, and there's not a better shot, and everybody clapped. And Raj Saab was like, yeah, it's very good and it's great. And I was sitting there very quietly, and suddenly Raj Saab turned to me and said, what were you saying? I had not said anything. So he just bent down and came to me and he said, I'm going to just move my lips, and you go just move your lips and don't say anything. So I just did, and he said, Prem, we take one more shot. So he said, why? He said, because Rahul doesn't like this shot. Prem said, who is he? He's a bloody assistant director, and he doesn't like something which Prem Nath has performed, and Raj Kapoor likes it, and all these people have clapped. So Raj Saab said, come on Prem, ठीक है, बच्चा है ये वो ऐसे सीखेगा, let's do one more take.
आपके नाम पे कई बिल फाड़े हुए
नहीं,
हैं।
कई मतलब हमेशा ही होता था। जब भी प्रेम नाथ जी की शूटिंग होती थी, राहुल को नहीं पसंद है, and one day he came to me and said, why is it that you don't like this concept? What is the reason behind that? There's nothing I could say. And I was terrified that he hated it. I was very terrified. And then when we came to dubbing in the studio, Manoj ji had just finished dubbing show, and Prem Nath ji was in that, dubbing in RK. And we were assistant directors next to the dubbing. We used to go and watch the dubbing, and pata laga that Manoj Kumar, had an assistant director who was the chief assistant director, was Sikandar Ganga. And Prerna ji had slapped Sikandar Khan. I said, God, I said, next is my turn. So he said, what is what happened? Now, Prerna is very dumb. You would like to be actor at one place. Your mic should be correct, everything should be normal. Prerna could not do that. He would move the way he was moving in the film.
Oh.
And he would take a mic and go around him all the time. So he would wear this full costume, which is worn in the film. And he'll walk around. Now he's walking around. And apparently, the mic collided with his head, which happened with Sikandar. So he gave him a slap. And then I told Saab, I said, Saab, I am not going to attend the dubbing because he might hit me. I said, no, so he said, no, you have to. He was enjoying himself. And I went to the dubbing the first day. And out came a harmonium. When you used to narrate dialogue to him and give him the dialogue, he used to take a music notation sheet.
To find the sur.
Like to write music notes. He would write his dialogue on that. So I asked him, he said, "Arey scene ka sur bhi to hota." So I have to write where I have to go up and where I have to come down. So it was like a musical thing over there. And he pulled out a harmonium. And he said, "So, देखो दिखाओ डबिंग क्या करें." तो उनको दिखाया शॉट, तो उन्होंने हारमोनियम पे कुछ बजाना शुरू किया तो ऐसा सर, he said, "चुप रहो, मेरे को पहले सुर ढूंढने दो." I said, "It's all strange." तो उन्होंने अपना सुर ढूंढ लिया और फिर उसके बाद डबिंग की उन्होंने, फिर we came to the climax. So climax was in the water. And he said, I can't do this climax. I said, why? He said, there's no water in this dubbing theatre. So I said, how do we get the water? He said, no, take me to a swimming pool and dub it there. I said, we can't. Because the idea of dubbing is to get proper sound.
Yeah.
He said, okay, fine. So he wore his costume. He had one guy with balti pouring water on his head and he was walking right through the screen.
Oh my God.
So, these were the eccentricities he had, but the man was a genius, absolutely.
Yeah. But these are the kind of artists, who make the art great.
Yes, absolutely.
Because जो genius होते हैं वो crazy होते हैं. That we all know. And I think Raj Kapoor is been considered the master in every sense of the word. For you, because you have studied under him. I can say you studied because you did learn all those techniques from him to make your films such a great success. And friends, he has made Betab with Sunny Deol and Amrita Singh. And they had shot in Kashmir. And they have actually named the valley Betab Valley. So when you go there now, they will refer to it as Betab Valley.
Wow. It is known as Betab.
Yeah,
it's called Betab Valley.
और वो जो मंदिर है जहाँ पे राजेश खन्ना ने जय जय शिव शंकर गाया था, वो भी फेमस है वो राजेश खन्ना टेम्पल का.
And Betab, the whole area is called Betab Valley.
वो बड़े शान से बताते हैं.
And makes me very happy.
Absolutely. And sir, you made some very iconic films. I want to mention Arjun and Dakat also, because Dakat was another path-breaking film. जो डाकू है लेकिन वो डाकू के कपड़े पहने हुए नहीं हैं. So you have really made some very nice movies, and I hope you make some more in the future.
Thank you.
And I also wanted to talk to you about your children. एक तो Rajat has acted and he's produced movies also. Ready film में वो सलमान खान के साथ में उन्होंने काम किया था, and then he was in Big Boss also, one of the seasons. And Shiv Rawail has made this web series Railway Men. Yashraj Films की शायद वो पहली web series है. I think it has been critically acclaimed and done a great job.
I'm so happy with Rajat is my sister's son.
Achha.
But he's been brought up by us.
Oh,
so
that's
he's changed the name to Rawail. He's the eldest
अच्छा
son. Then there is Bharat, who at one time was an associate with Yashar Films.
हाँ
Then he just gave it up for being more creative,
okay
and he got into photography.
right
He does photographs, and now he's done photographs for Louis Vuitton and for all these people, for all these brands. And Shiv, of course, started this thing called Railwayman,
yes
and thank God it's done very well.
what is his next project now
He's starting a film for Yashar Films,
अच्छा
which is a piece of
okay
it's part of the spy universe. It's with Alia Bhatt as
so thank you sir I think is there anything you would like to add
no.
Yes.
Listen, tell me to add, I'll keep
Can we
talking
ask
to
a
tomorrow.
question? If someone wants to
Someone has
ask
a question to ask
Yeah.
anyone
Yeah, it's okay. I think we can. I just wanted to understand the masterpieces, that were made, in the 60s and the 70s. Why aren't such films made today, even though there is technology, the support and the way, but still that soul is not there. What is the difference?
The soul is missing.
Exactly. वो ही है. वो जो इतने creative लोग आज भी हैं.
नहीं, but सबकी आदत खराब होगी ना. Now it's a question of just using technology, and technology can't help you at all. Technology is great. You can do great work with technology, but you can't depend on technology. You can't, and people have stopped thinking. And it's a bad thing.
So sir, today's movies में आपकी favorite कौन सी? जो आजकल काफी अच्छी कंटेंट वाली थोड़ी
हाँ बहुत अच्छी फिल्म है
आपकी
बहुत फिल्म है which I like very much, and recently the film which I loved was Animal. Oh, I loved Animal. And, I think see how I really stopped. I did not like Kabir Singh at all when I saw Kabir Singh. I had seen the original. Because I didn't.
How was it different? I thought the similar
Which one?
emotion in Kabir
No,
Singh
in
and
Kabir
Animal
Singh-
also.
In Kabir Singh, it was the character. He was a misogynist, and also his operating in an operation theatre with a bottle of alcohol. These things did not.
Yeah.
And women, I'm surprised at that time.
Yeah.
I thought would have hated the film because the way he treats the horse. But women loved it. And in Animal, what I loved in Animal is the relationship between father and son.
Yeah, that's
That was
overpowering.
brilliant.
Overpowering.
But in fact, sir, I want to contradict on this a little bit. Though I agree, earlier people were doing lesser movies in the given time and they were giving more of their efforts. But today I feel there's a lot more, they are trying, experimenting with new subjects, because if you see that way, like when we see movies of 60s, 70s, 80s, there was an era where all movies were like similar kind, where when they were making on dacoits, there were a lot of movies on
Yes.
dacoits. Then, I mean, there was one subject which was there used for many years, and everybody was making similar kind. Then songs were also like quite similar, the feel of the movies. But today, if at all you see, they're experimenting with subjects. In fact, there are a lot of actors who are experimenting with the roles. Like if you see Ayushmann Khurrana, the kind of roles that he's taking, that time in olden times, I feel heroes were doing quite secure image roles where they were not experimenting with negative shades and
What's your
all that
question?
stuff.
What's your question?
I'm just saying, like the way
Yeah.
everybody was saying, ki, like that was a time when everything was good related to
No,
content.
I
acting and
agree
all.
with you, and I'm glad they're experimenting. But problem is the people who are experimenting are not using their minds for it. They're not following their minds. You can't just go beyond. See, the basic root is what are we telling in the film is a story. If you don't tell the story simply and if people can't understand it, it's not going to work. Actors, yes, would never agree to do the roles people are doing today. But that's evolved with time, that's the way it will go. I just hope people get their act together on the content being correct. which is very difficult. You know, it's very easy to say. Nobody can tell you what content is correct. But this influence of technology, I think, has been a big difference. Suddenly they feel we can do anything we want to. So in that case, you start thinking of scenes which have nothing to do with the film, but will have great technology. But that won't work.
Rahulji, we would love to continue this conversation. It's so interesting, but like we do have a time
Yeah, I know.
constraint.
I didn't see anybody come up with a board saying 5 minutes and 10 minutes.
And that's all unfortunate, just because we are
Yeah,
moving
I
on.
know, just
And we're
Like,
like,
yeah. So, our deepest thanks go to the man of the hour, Mr. Rahul Rawail. Thank you, sir,
Thank you very
for
much.
gracing us with his presence, sharing his insights, and turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. Your tales of the legendary Raj Kapoor and the behind-the-scenes anecdotes were not just enlightening, but also served as a delightful cinematic feast for the soul. A warm thank you to Nilima Deshpande for your wonderful and on-point moderation. As the echoes of laughter, the warmth of shared stories, and the scent of intellectual camaraderie linger in the air, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for making the evening with Mr. Rahul Rawail an unforgettable chapter in our literary chronicles. I would like to thank our association with O Hotel, the constant support of SR's Women of Pune, Amita Manot and Nilima Deshpande along with me, and our humble patron, Shri Cement Limited, for making this event a successful and a memorable one. Prabha Khaitan Foundation promotes cross-state cultural understanding and appreciation. A mix of cultures forms the backbone of our nation, contributing to its vibrancy and richness. This is to support our ongoing efforts to foster unity and appreciation of the rich cultural heritage across India's diverse states. We are pleased to felicitate the author with her Kantha Uttariyo Dupattas. Anita, may I request you to the corner? Kantha is a centuries-old tradition of stitching patchwork cloth from rags, which evolved from the thrift of rural women in the Bengali region of the subcontinent, south subcontinent. Today, the eastern Indian states of West Bengal and Orissa and Bangladesh. I would, thank you and good night, everyone. Feel free to grab a complimentary copy of Rahul Rawail's book, and there is also a autograph in the back.
Sa